So, good day to you. Welcome again to Family Affairs Mondays, hosted by College of Marriage, Parenting and Family Affairs. Today, I will be talking about resolving family conflicts. So, as a college, our desire is to equip people with knowledge, skills, and tools to help them enjoy family life. We have since realized that without a stable family, it will be difficult for anyone to enjoy their lives. So, I just want to start by saying, you know, conflicts exist daily. You will notice that wherever there are relationships, there will be conflicts, and a family is not different at all. But the fact that there is conflict is not the issue. What is the challenge is how the conflict is handled. Because if the conflict is handled in a good way, it will probably make people enjoy their lives much, much better. But if it is held in a manner that is destructive, conflict can damage relationships. So I normally say to people that reality of life is this: you can never change anything by fighting the existing reality. What is important is for us to build a new model in terms of handling our conflicts, for us to be able to enjoy lives as families. So today, hear this, friends. It's important if we're to resolve conflicts to understand what really causes conflicts, and there are a number of things that can cause a conflict within the family. I think we all know that in our families. I don't think there's a family that can say we don't have any conflict at all. Because the reality of it is we are individuals who are different. We share different worldviews. We can have different desires. Expectations could be different. We can be disappointed in different ways and for different things. And sometimes we're actually ignorant or we don't talk well to each other. And these things cause us to have a conflict. The question is not whether the conflict is there or not. The major challenge is how do you resolve the conflict. And for you, again, to be able to resolve the conflict, one of the things that is important is to understand that there are different types of conflicts within a relationship. We normally spoke of what is known as a one-sided conflict, where clearly the behavior of one person in the family is causing a challenge to everyone. So it can be because somebody is on drugs, or is an alcoholic, or they are physically abusing someone, or they have various mood swings. So these become one-sided conflicts. But there are also conflicts which are also, natural in a way, in terms of these conflicts being caused by both parties. So, for example, it could be just something that is caused because of different perspectives with regards to how we handle finances, how we should raise children, or the chores that are supposed to be done at home. So these become what we call two-sided conflicts. So conflicts can be either one-sided or two-sided. So the fact that there is a conflict is not the problem. The question is, how do you resolve the conflict? And that's what we will just briefly look at today. But before we do that, let's look at why it is important for us to resolve conflicts. Why is it necessary to resolve a conflict? Friends, relationships are very important. And if a conflict is not resolved, what will happen is that it will affect the way people will relate in the family, and it will be very difficult for people to enjoy their family life together if the conflict is not resolved. I normally say that there are a lot of signals that can indicate that there is underlying conflict which is not being resolved. For example, presence of anxiety in the family. It shows that there's a conflict which has not been resolved. The family members, they avoid each other. There is a culture in the family of witch hunting, blame or suspicion. In the family, there can actually be an existing of factions. So mom is on this side with the children, dad is on this side with the children, or the children on them, they will be on their own and parents are on one side. And these things will show that there is a conflict that is not resolved. Another thing is that there can be a pervading sense of unfairness and inequity in the family. It shows that there's a conflict here which is not being resolved, or family members can actually attack each other over very small things. It's a minor thing. Somebody bests out, and they're already attacking each other. Another thing is that people can have very rigid and adversarial mindsets. That there could be conflict which is not being resolved here. So the issue is this: such an environment will not make people enjoy their family life. And so it's very important for us as we are discussing this to say, hey, the resolving of conflicts will make people to enjoy their time together as a family. So how can we resolve conflict at home? I just want to suggest maybe 5 or 6 things today. And I trust that as we're talking about these things, obviously these will not address everything, but at least it can begin a journey for you as a family to try to look at handling the challenges that you have within your family setup. So number 1, managing of your emotions. In general, hear this: any conflict that we have has potential of making us have emotions that are either very high, or we feel emotionally abused and we become unwell emotionally. So typical emotions are we become very angry or very anxious, and we cannot think properly. And so if we are to manage emotions, if we are to manage our conflicts and resolve them, hear this: critical is for you to be able to resolve your anger or your emotional challenges. It's very important for you to do that. So that's the first point. Sometimes it's good actually for you to climb down if you are somebody who is already very angry at the moment. Just climbing down does help, and it gives an opportunity for people to discuss issues. That's number 1. The second thing that will be useful if we are to handle our conflicts is the capacity to use good communication skills. And here, many people, what I've discovered as I've worked with many couples or family members where they are misunderstandings, I've noticed that the absence of good communication skills does affect, conflict resolution. I remember somebody saying to me at some point in time that what they have observed in their own lives is this: the more destructive conflict there is, the less effective communication there is. And the more effective communication there is, the less destructive conflict there is. What it simply means is this: reality is conflict will be there, but as long as you are able to communicate and put your facts well and better, and you're prepared to listen to the other person, hear their point of view and the like, which are all part of good communication skills, chances of you resolving that conflict is much better. Unfortunately, many people, when there is a conflict, because we don't have good communication skills, what happens is we will then end up speaking in a manner that actually complicates the process. It makes the whole conflict become even more difficult. So, good communication skills, which is one of the things that I encourage people, let us learn good communication skills. It will help us in terms of resolving conflicts within our families. A soft answer, one portion of scripture says, a soft answer will actually, enable good communication resolution. When you speak well, it reduces anger. It makes people to feel they can actually easily connect and speak. So communication is a huge issue, and I want to encourage all of us to mind the way we speak to each other when there is a conflict. Number 3, minding our attitude. If we are to resolve our conflicts, reality is this. One of the things that we need to deal with is the issue of the attitudes we have. We normally say to people, let's not have attitudes like which this guy once said, my idea of an agreeable person is a person who agrees with me. So anyone who is agreeable is somebody who agrees with me, and it's a wrong attitude. So if we are to resolve our conflicts, well, here are these guys. Let's deal with wrong attitudes, because almost always conflict will be resolved if we make sure that we get our attitudes right. So no to pride, to selfishness, and yes to love, to humility. It will help us to be able to handle the conflicts well. Because when you are humble, you will most likely be able to hear the point of view of either your spouse, your child, or whoever you have who you are having a challenge with when it comes to the conflict that you have. Number 4, what will help us to resolve conflicts is our willingness to be objective and to listen to others. You know what? The issue is this: if we are not careful when there is a conflict, we will want to defend our position as long as we can stretch that defense, and that again is not good. Because for many people, reality is we actually think that the way we see things is the correct way, but reality is you can actually be wrong. I've seen people who are lost and passionately lost, and it still doesn't change the fact that you can be lost, you can be wrong, and the willingness for you to allow other people to speak and for you to be objective can be a difference maker. And finally, the issue of seeking a win-win situation as you are resolving conflicts is very important. So taking time to enter into a conflict resolution session, saying I would want also my child, my spouse, or this family member to be able to also benefit out of this discussion. Let me tell you, it can be a game changer. It can be a game changer. So seeking a win-win solution, being prepared to say that in this discussion, I would want to see which areas I can actually also give in, from hearing what another person is saying. I'm actually willing to also give in this area. It is actually something that is good. Finally, I just want to close this session, to just end it by saying that when you've tried everything and you feel you are not getting through to either your child or to your spouse or to another family member, after having done 1 to 5 is suggested above, I normally encourage this thing that I call calling for reinforcements. What this simply means is, you asking your family member to go and to just humble yourselves as a family to another person who can then offer you their perspective. We call that counseling. And there's nothing wrong with counseling, and I want to encourage all of us to use counseling as a route. Some of us, as you are listening, perhaps you have gone for a long period of time with a situation which you couldn't handle with your spouse, with your child. Hear this call for reinforcements. It will help you. So here it is, 5 things that you can use: manage your emotions, use good communication skills, mind your attitude, be willing to be objective, seek a win-win situation, and if everything else is not working, hear this, look for help, seek counseling. God bless you. Have a great week. We'll see you again next week on our Family Affairs Mondays. Bye-bye.